Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to be going over how to use color pencils. Now I'm only going to be using these colors for now just because, actually plus a light blue on the Crayola side for the shirt and a kind of like the same color for the Prismas. So here I have Prismas and here I have Crayola. Look how similar the colors are. This is from the 50 pack for the Crayola and this is from the 72 pack. So either way, either one works. This one is just more expensive and also better quality, but Crayola works completely well as well. So I'm not going to list all of the colors here because that's a lot. Just use whatever skin tone that you can find. When it comes to fairer skin tones, I like to use this is I think a light peach for the Prismacolors, and then for the darker colors, for darker values or shades, I like to use kind of like a medium brown. For some blush, I like to use a pink that's more of a reddish color rather than a hot pink. So I'll show you what a hot pink versus a reddish pink looks like. This is what a hot pink looks like. You can see it has a bit of purple hue and it looks very intense. Look at the difference. This has more of a reddish tone to it. This has more of a purplish tone to it. So this is what's known as a cool color or cooler pink, and this is a warmer pink. So warmer is meaning anything that's towards orange or red. This cooler pink is leading anywhere towards purple or blue. So keep that in mind. So I like to use these main colors for skin tones and for blush or lip gloss or whatever. And I also like to add these kind of buffer. This is actually a French gray. I'm not going to use that. I also like to use something like beige, for example, for more tanner kinds of skin tone as well, as also kind of also a form of shading as well. So it's not too dark. And then these are for her hair. I'm going to make her blonde, and I'm going to give her some blue eyes, which I will actually pull out some blues real quick. So this is a this for Prismacolor is called a jade green. This is more of a bluish, it looks more, it says jade green, but let me test it out. This is actually more, it's more of a grayish green color. You can use this as well, or use a very light blue for the shirt. So I'm using a light blue for, let's see, what other colors I have. So I can use a light sky blue. This is called cloud blue for my Prismas, as a light color or light gray alternative. And then for my blue eyes, I'm going to be using, for Prismacolors, I'm going to be using Violet Imperial Violet and Copenhagen Blue. And let me see what other blues I have. So sorry, I should have prepared this ahead of time. Oh, there it goes. Pardon for the noise. I'm also going to be using a ultramarine blue. Just take whatever blues you can, and just for a bit of pop of color, I'm going to be using some aquamarine and a light aqua. So these are the colors I'm going to be using for Prismacolors, just to show you guys what it's like. And then for my Prismas, basically the similar colors, and I'm just going to be adding some blues here. So I'm going to be adding very nice sky blue for my Crayolas. A sky blue, a cerulean blue, a azul verdos, whatever that, a teal. Sorry, this is the teal, and then this is a turquoise, and here is a blue. So I'm just going to be using these, comparing them, how it's going to be, and let's just get started. So let's first start off with how to hold the pencil. So, of course, I'm going to start with Prismacolors first, so it's easier, so I can compare. Let's say if I want to color in the skin, for example, I always use Prismas for nicer works, but I like to use Crayola when it comes to test works. So this is a light peach. What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some pressure. So when it comes to pressure, you want to hold, you don't want to hold your pencil too close like this. Oops. You want to hold your pencil a little bit farther, so the lighter you press, it's easier on the pencil. If you press too lightly on here, you won't be able to see how much color you're putting in. Whereas if you hold it farther, you can see the color and how much pressure you're putting. So I'm going to go with my light peach. And then I'm going to go ahead and just gradually put some light pressure on top. So as you can see, it's barely visible. However, when I, and this is good for like starters, you know, just for like a light coating. However, when I go darker, you'll be able to see the color more. This is good for toned paper, for example. Toned paper is good when it comes to opaque colors because when you're on a toned background, that means it's darker. You can see colors that pop out more. So if you're going to use this on regular paper, apply light first, then for shading, apply a little bit darker. Just put more pressure, but don't just limit yourself to that because that's too, I feel like that's a little bit too limiting. So then I'm going to go ahead and use a beige here. And then I'm going to go ahead and apply some beige on top. So see, look how much nicer this kind of color gives it. It gives it a nicer tan or a nicer kind of feel to it, to the skin. So I'm also kind of coloring in between these colors just to blend it. Usually when it comes, if you want to blend the colors, you use a lighter pencil. Use a lighter pencil to color on top and that blends it better. Or you can use a white. So I have a Crayola white here. Let me see if this actually works. Yeah, white works well when it comes to blending. So use a white if you want to blend it smoother. If you want a more blush color, let me zoom in a little bit. What you can do is you can just apply the blush on top, you know, and it kind of starts blending in. So this is kind of similar to all the other colors already, but look how nice the gradient looks once you start blending these colors together. I'm going to add a little bit of blush in between, so I'm going to use a harsher red. I'm going to be using a carmine red, and I'm going to be just applying very light pressure. And just as you can see here, the light pressure gives it already a very powerful feel. So it's already starting to come out really nice. If you want to blend that, use a white, and then just color on top, and that will blend it nicer. This is just a Crayola pencil, by the way, so you can use that as well. So notice how well that blends along with the blush or along with the skin tone. And here's your darker dark, which is a very dark brown, which you can blend to make it a little bit lighter, and also feel and also have a nicer tone here. So this is a good fair skin tone. Now, of course, I'm not going to go through every skin tone here. This is just what I'm going to be using for this illustration. So that's it for skin tone when it comes to Prismas. Now let's go on to hair. So when it comes to hair, if she's going to be blonde, I'm going to choose the palest yellow first and layer on top. So the good thing about Prismas is that you can layer colors very easily. This is actually kind of dark. Let me see this. This is better. So when it comes to, you know, having a light color, you want to apply soft pressure. You know, nice soft pressure to see how far you can go. When it comes to light pressure, it's easier to control because when you have a lighter tone, then it becomes then you can just add on top. If you go too dark, too fast, then it will become harder and harder to color. So then take your sunburst yellow to apply some more nicer colors here and just kind of blend it in. So color on top of your yellow, and that will become a nice gradient, a nice harsher yellow that is good for shadows. Same thing with our sand color. We can also add that as a value. So we can just kind of press harder for the color to show through. So you can see the gradation that appears. If you want to blend, be my guest and use a white and just color on top and blend that in. Now blonde hair colors also work well when it comes to dark brown, so I'm going to add a dark brown over on top and show you guys how that looks in comparison. So if you blend it in with the yellows or color on top of the yellows, it becomes a very nice shade of dark. So I would say use these colors. Use a nice brown. So when it comes to blonde hairstyle, you have a burnt ochre. This is your darkest brown. Then you have your second darkest, which is your sand. Then you have your sunburst yellow, which is a saturated yellow. And then you have your lemon yellow, which is your lightest value. So that'll be for the hair, for Prismacolors. And then last but not least, we have her eyes. So this will be, you know, since these colors are so similar with the Crayolas, I'm not going to, you know, well, I guess I can just go over it simply again. But anyways, Then you have your lightest color when it comes to your blues. So since I don't have as much blues as I do with the Crayolas, 72 pack, but anyways, I will color lightly first. So I will use my cloud blue, well no, not cloud blue. I'm going to use my ultramarine blue first. So this is the eyes now. I'm going to color lightly. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start blending in different colors. So for instance, I'm going to color it, I'm going to, apply a light aqua on top. And you can see that the color blends in pretty nice. You can even kind of go and press lightly at the bottom as well. So because this is actually so light, I'm actually going to cover this with a, what's a Copenhagen blue look like? That's really dark. So this will be a very dark value when it comes to blues. A Copenhagen blue is very, very dark. Just immediately upon, coloring it, even with a little bit of pressure, it's already super dark. If you want a cloud blue, you can also use that as a dark color and blend the ultramarine color as well. So you can see that the lighter colors can blend easily with other colors when you color on top. Let's see what else is there. What is an ultramarine blue? Imperial violet. If I color dark, you can also blend in with the other colors as well. So this will be good for the eyes. I start light with your ultramarine blue, and then blend it with your aqua, and then just kind of like layer colors on top. Unfortunately, I don't think I have a. Actually, I do. I'm sorry. Here is my peacock blue. So I'm going to test this out a little bit more. Oh wow, this is great. So if you want, this can also be a very dark color. And what you can do if you want to, mix these colors up, you can also just color this really dark. Then go towards a aquamarine and blend these together by coloring on top. And then here we have a light aqua, and you can color that very, very lightly. So you can see how that, starts blending together. The harder you press, the more color it will show. If you want it lighter, you can use your your cloud blue, and then just shade in between. And that is good for your eyes. So that'll be it for the eyes on the Prismacolor side, and I will put that on one side here. So now let's go with Crayola, which will be a similar process, but it's probably a little bit harder to blend when it comes to Crayola. So for your skin tone, take out a peach. If you're working with Crayola, take out a peach. Take out your sand, which is a little bit of a different color than your Prismacolor sand. Then you take out your tan. Take out a red. So that'll be a good kind of start on where to put your values in. So let's once again start light. As you can see, the color appears a little bit grittier than the Prismas here. And it's also not as oil pastel-y as this one. So if you want to, in fact, I find it easier to color with Crayola. Wow, this is kind of hard saying that. But anyways, so let's see how this blends in. So I'm just coloring lightly. You can see that even just with a little pressure, it still comes out pretty dark. It does not come out as dark as Prismas. It does not come out as light as Prismas, so you got to be careful with Crayola a little bit more. Then you want to do a sand, and then just color on top just to give us a lighter layer, or sorry, a darker layer. Then a tan, which is your third level shading. And then if you want really, really dark, just for accents, you use a light brown and then just color the ends here. So you can see it's quite similar, but these somehow blend a little bit better. I'm actually quite impressed. So if you want to add a little bit of blush, be careful with this one because this is a little bit chalkier. Just lightly graze over on top if you want to add a blush. And it kind of just blends on its own already, which is pretty nice actually. I'm pretty impressed. Crayola is coming a long way. So that'll be it for the skin tone, but you can see the difference between the two. This one has a more of like a nicer gradation and nicer hues. This one is limited, but it works really well. So, and it feels smoother, which is odd. But anyways, Now when it comes to our hair, if she's going to be blonde, take out your yellow for Crayola. Then use your Harvest Gold, which is in the 50 pack, by the way. It's better if you organize your colors well, so do that. Then we're going to take out our tan again. And then for a more saturated color, we're going to use a mango. So that'll be good for our blonde. Actually, I'm going to also add one more blonde or one more yellow, which will be our golden yellow, which will be good to use for some nice dark colors. So let's start off with our yellow as our lightest. You know, apply some good pressure. Don't press too hard, press a bit light, kind of like a medium pressure. So far so good, looks pretty good, looks pretty clean. Then go with your golden yellow for a more vibrant hue or more vibrant color. So do not confuse hue with values or shading, because when it comes to hues, that means your color is more intense. So don't rely on that. Use darker colors if you want a darker shadow. If you want an even more vibrant yellow, go ahead and use your mango and then color on top, just lightly. And it becomes a nice kind of really, really nice shade. Here we have our tan. If you want to add some more browner accents, pretty good so far. And then your, I think that's pretty much it. And what's the Harvest Gold? Did I use Harvest Gold yet? I think I did. Or maybe I didn't. I did not use Harvest Gold yet. So this will be like kind of like a darker dark. And then if you want really, really dark, in some areas we can use our light brown and just kind of color that really, really dark. So that's another one. They look pretty similar, don't they? I'm actually really impressed. This seems to blend a little bit better than this one, but this looks more vibrant. It depends on what you use. I'm really impressed with Crayola right now. So, I think I'll be using Crayola because that's the cheapest option when it comes to this test. So let's do that. Now for eyes. This has a bit more color options here. So let's start off with our sky blue, which is our lightest blue. And let's go ahead and draw in our blue. Now, of course, if you want to go lighter on this, go ahead and do that. If you want to put lighter pressure, do that. So lighter pressure gives more room to build upon layers. So I always like to start off with light. Then I like to go a little bit darker. Now, a little bit darker can also mean just a little bit different in a little bit of a different hue as well. So if I want to change a little bit of color, I can go ahead and layer a darker color on top. That's a little bit of a different. So I can add my turquoise and put it on my sky blue, and it'll become like a teal blue. Same thing here. This is darker, but it's also a different hue. It's greener. So it starts when I start blending on top of my my cerulean blue, or sorry, my aqua. Then it starts looking more like the ocean. And then darker, your darkest dark will be your blue, which you can press really, really hard, and it'll become a lot more dense. So that's just another way to do it. If you want really, really dark, you can go ahead and take a navy blue and then go super, super dark. And that is your darkest dark for your blues if you're going to use a blue colored, if you're going to make blue eyes. So that is pretty much it for this video. I will be coloring in this girl now after this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.